Wait. Okay. Guys, we're going to ELBAF. Like, it's finally happening. Granted, it's not with the crew that we thought was going to happen. It's not with the Straw Hats, but we're going to ELBAF. It's finally happening. You know, this has been set up since Little Garden. Like, I don't know, like 20-something years ago, we're doing this. Gods and men and giants and Lokis and Odins and Thors. Not Odin as in Kozuki Odin, although that would be interesting in and of itself. Like, Odin never really died. He was reincarnated as Odin on ELBAF. But no, like other Norse Odin, the guy with one eyeball, okay? Yeah, that's all happening, right? And it's all going to be through the perspective of everybody's favorite supernova, Eustass Captain Kidd. You know, you gotta really feel bad for Eustass sometimes. He's like nobody's favorite character. Now, I know when I say that, there's somebody out there in internet land that's like, he's my favorite character. I'm like, okay, good for you. But you gotta admit, like, even if he is your favorite character, he doesn't get a lot of attention in the story. He's not even the most popular or prominent red-haired individual in One Piece. We have Shanks for that, which is ironic considering Shanks never really shows up in the story, but he still ranks higher than Eustass Captain Kidd somehow, all right? I like to think at the very beginning when the supernovas were designed, and remember the supernovas as a concept were actually, I think, not last minute. I don't think it was like, you know, one chapter before Sabaody Archipelago when Oda's editor told him, man, maybe you should throw a few more characters in this arc, and Oda's like last minute, like, okay, this one's a fortune teller, and this one has a cool hat, and this one's Eustass Kid with some goggles, and here's a gangster, and there's another dude that has a long-arm tribe member that can use music. I don't think it was last minute like that, but it was something that Oda did not plan on from the beginning, and the idea to have like a set of rivals for the Straw Hats, not just one particular rival, but a whole set of pirates that are like super rookies, came about, you know, slightly before the Sabaody Archipelago arc. I bet you when Oda first designed them, he thought that Eustass Kid was going to be like the fan favorite. He had the bounty higher than Luffy's at the time. He had the highest bounty out of all of the supernovas at Sabaody, 315 million, 15 higher than Luffy's. You know, he's this really like hardcore, you know, death metal punk sort of guy. He's got the goggles, he's got the red hair, he can make giant robot arms and everything like that. I bet he thought people were really going to take to him, and instead it was Law. Law was the one that was just like the fan favorite that just exploded in popularity. I think it was mainly because of the hats and the hoodie, and Eustass just kind of got pushed off to the side. And then Wano happens, and it's like, okay, we're finally going to do some stuff with Law and Kid. And then once again, I mean, they had a cool fight with Big Mom, but it really does feel like he got pushed to the side a little bit, to the point where Oda thought that he had already revealed Eustass's devil fruit, the Jiki Jiki no Mi, by name, and he just completely forgot, like he never did. He's like, oh man, I thought I revealed that like years ago. Well, it's the Jiki Jiki no Mi, and it's there you go, right? So maybe this is Oda finally putting his foot down. Oda's finally like, you know what? No more Eustass Mid. No more Captain Mid here. This is going to be Kid's arc. He's going to ELBAF first. He's going to be the one to have a crazy giant Norse mythology adventure. You know, like, I'll tell you what, Vinland Saga Season 2 is coming out next week, okay? I'm really excited for some Viking shit to be happening in my anime, so let's have Eustass go to ELBAF. Let's just go ahead with it, all right? I don't even care what's happening to the Straw Hats right now. Egghead Island, Vegapunk, that's whatever. Fun little story arc. Let's have Vegapunk leave with the Straw Hats, and then while they're traveling, let's cut over to ELBAF and see what's going on with Kid, all right? Let's do this. Let's explore Kid's crew a little bit more. We got Killer, of course. We all know about that guy, but maybe we can explore a little bit more about their past together, because Kid and Killer were like really good friends growing up in the South Blue, so we can look at that. We can have a little bit of a backstory there. What about the other members of Kid's crew? Oda just revealed all of the members, or not all of the members, actually. I think there's like 30-something members of Kid's crew, and he only revealed like 20 of them, but I did a video about that. Go check it out. It had that really cool Metalocalypse opening that Marcel animated at the beginning of it. It was really awesome, right? So we know a lot more members of Kid's crew. We got UK, we got Gig, the big guy that wears the leather jacket like, I'm Gig, you know? We got Bubblegum, this creepy clown-looking dude that's on the crew. I mean, we got a lot of interesting characters on Kid's crew that, you know, could have a crazy giant ELBAF adventure, right? Like, the possibilities are endless. Like, let's look at it this way, okay? So Eustass, you know, he's a fighter. He's the kind of guy that runs into battle. Hell, even in the last chapter when their crew was approaching ELBAF, when the Vegapunk was approaching it, Killer even gave Kid, like, a warning of, like, hey, Captain, do you really want to dock here? And Kid's like, what are you talking about, Killer? Have you ever known an island that me, Eustass, Captain Kid, has never wanted to explore? You know? And Killer's like, yeah, I know that, Captain, but this island, is probably ELBAF. ELBAF? ELBAF. ELBAF. Oh, that damn Orochi with that stupid fruit. I'm gonna be doing that. I'm never gonna be able to have a serious moment ever again. ELBAF. That really's gotta suck for Killer. It really has to. He can never be serious his entire life. But anyway, they arrive at ELBAF, right? Now, they even give him a warning, like, do you want to dock here? Now, of course, Kid's going to do that. He's going to be like, yeah, we're going to go have a crazy Norse mythology Viking adventure. Hells to the yeah. Now, he's normally a guy that runs right into battle. That honestly might be right up the alley of a lot of the giants. The giants are, like, I wouldn't say warmongering. Not all of them are all about, like, killing and destruction and everything like that, but they certainly love battle, especially ELBAF giants. Not all giants, like Jaguar D. Saul, you know, really cared all about battle in that respect, but they like a good duel, you know, as is the case with Dory and Broggy, okay? So, if Kid, you know, arrives on the island, he might just be like, all right, bring it on, giants, I want to fight somebody. And there might be a giant that's like a really powerful dude. He walks down, he's got an epic beard and the horned helmet, carries a giant battle axe, and he's just like, ho, 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 you little pirates land on this island and you make demands of us? You are foolish and foolhardy and other adjectives that involve foolish. ELBAFian diction, they don't really have a great English department, okay? But they're like, ELBAF will reject you. Oh, actually, back during Little Garden, it was kind of implied, I'm not really sure if this was a translation issue or what, but it was kind of implied that not only was ELBAF the name of the homeland of the giants, like the actual island, but ELBAF was also the name of, like, their war god. I remember that sort of being a thing. I don't know if Dory and Broggy were talking about it, like, in the eyes of ELBAF, or in the name of ELBAF. Was it just, like, in the name of their homeland, or was ELBAF, like, their actual deity, like, their war god, like, their version of Kratos or Ares or something, you know? Maybe it was. So maybe a giant steps out and he has this giant metal axe that's made of metal. That'll be relevant in a second. And he's just like, oh, you foolish pirates. Pirates land here all the time, and they always try to pillage our land. We wipe them out like this. And then he brings down the giant axe. And then Kid is just like, repel, and then boom, the giant axe that weighs like 5 tons just gets flung out of this giant's hand. And he's like, oh, you son of a... And then Kid transforms into the giant punk rotten mech. And then just boom! And he just punches out this giant on the shore. And all the other giants are like, whoa, this guy's kind of a badass. And then all the giants begin to like, man, you're actually pretty cool. Yeah, you can turn into a giant robot and everything. And so they start shaking Kid's hand. He's like, here, have a tankard of mead. And Kid's like, oh, finally, about damn time I get some recognition in this story. Glug, glug, glug. And then the Kid Pirates just party like hell all night in the long haul. Odin shows up, you know, Loki's there. They're having this massive party on ELBAF. And then the Straw Hats and Vegapunk show up like a couple of days later or whatever. Like, whoa, we're finally on ELBAF. And Kid's there. He walks out. He's wearing the traditional, like, giant attire. Like, he's just lauded as, like, a warrior god right now or something. Like, man, this guy's really badass. He's tiny, but he can kick your ass. You know what I mean? So that would be funny. If Kid finally finds recognition and it's on ELBAF. It might be a thing, like, seriously, to expand upon that. it might be a thing where they seriously get along in terms of personality, and Kid might have to fight their champion or something. Like, there might be some kind of giant champion that is just like, you have a lot of moxie there, you know, red-headed pirate. You shall fight Grog in the giant tournament of Valhalla, the Valhalla tournament. Yes, the Valhalla tournament. Record of Ragnarok. You're fighting in Record of Ragnarok. I'm like, okay. And so they walk into this massive arena, this huge coliseum that they got, right? And all the giants are there, and they're cheering like, yeah, go Grog! And Grog walks out, and he's just this hulking giant covered in hair. He's got a beard that touches the ground, you know, and he pulls out, like, it's not even metal. It's not even like a metal sword or a metal axe or a hammer. He just pulls out like this tree. He just pulls Grog fight with tree. He just pulls out this boom, this giant tree. And Kid walks out, and he's so expecting, like, he's gonna use a giant sword or something. I can just send it flying away. Grog fight with tree. And then Kid just looks at that, and he's like, oh shit. And then Killer's just like, fa 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 fa. Good luck, Captain. Fa 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 fa. I'm actually laughing. This is gonna be hilarious. Go for it. And the Kid's like, well, okay, hold on. Hey, how much metal is around? Grog tree! It's like, crap! And he's like jumping around the arena. There's like no metal to gather up, so Kid has to kind of really think on his feet here. And it's just like, shit. And then he goes into his awakening. Now, his awakening is cool because he can basically assign a target magnetic charge. So he can assign the target, which is Grog with his tree. He can assign him like charge north, and then maybe everything else like souths or whatever. So like maybe the all the armor that the crowd is wearing just gets gathered together and smashes into Grog or something like that. That would be cool. That would be really neat. I could see Kid like running around this arena trying to fight against the giant champion. Let's say he somehow manages to win, and then he becomes like their champion. He becomes the new one. He becomes like, all right, we shall drink until the winter festival or whatever. And then they start getting drunk. And at that point, the Straw Hats show up. And it's like, oh, wow, it's crazy, right? By the way, here's a little bit of a tangent, but why not? It's a Tekking video. Here's a bit of a tangent. This is the way I would love this arc to be set up, okay? So, we're on Egghead right now with the Straw Hats. Let's say they get away from Cypherpole. They get on the Sunny, they rocket away, they escape Kizaru, they escape Lucci. They're on the seas, and they're traveling, you know, to a new destination, which might be ELBAF or whatever. So, on the ship, we then have a chapter where Vegapunk, you know, everybody's kind of settled after escaping Egghead, and then Vegapunk comes out, and he's like, Quasar, all of you pirates are so nice for helping me out of that jam there. As a reward, I'll tell you everything I know about devil fruits. And, like, the satellites of Vegapunk, like, pull in, like, a whiteboard on the Sunny, and then Vegapunk takes out, like, you know, like one of those, like, big extendy baton things, and he's like, all right, I shall now explain to you all about every single thing I know about devil fruits. And then Vegapunk just launches into like a 12-hour-long seminar where he's basically just reading off his entire like dissertation on devil fruit knowledge, right? And it's like everybody on the Sunny is like waiting, like all the Straw Hats get together like really excited, like yeah! And then he begins to explain it, and then we cut away from that. We cut away at that moment. And then we get like 5 or 6 chapters with Kid fighting Grog in the arena or whatever. And we cut back. And then after those 5 chapters, we then have the Straw Hats on the Sunny as like, we just skip over all of it, like Vegapunk's entire explanation. And it's like, well, that pretty much covers everything, Quasar. And then that's it. We just skip over the most important stuff for us to find out, the fans. Which Straw Hats would pay attention to that? I imagine after like the whole explanation, Frankie would be there the entire time. He would be taking notes. He would have like a bunch of like a stack of notebooks next to him, like taking notes of every single thing that Vegapunk said, asking questions. Like he's the best student. Usopp, I think, would also be there for the entire thing, but he would have a hard time wrapping his head around it. Like there would be a lot about it Usopp would not understand, but Frankie Frankie's really excited, and also Vegapunk is a genius scientist, so, Usopp might not figure out everything, might not understand the whole concept of devil fruits, but he'll, take some notes. Robin, of course, would be sitting there listening, taking notes on everything. Luffy and Chopper would have wandered off after the first minute. The first minute of the seminar, they'd be gone, doing off something else. Nami would have probably left. Sanji would have gone to get dinner started. Brook might have stayed around and just strumming his guitar in the background. Zoro would be asleep. Zoro would still be there in front of the lecture, but he would just be asleep the entire time. Jinbei would be like, I gotta go steer He would listen politely for a little while, but then he would be like, yeah, I gotta go steer the ship. And so the only people that would really be paying attention to the whole seminar would be Frankie, Usopp, and Robin, and that would be it. But anyway, that's the Straw Hats. And then after all that, they arrive on ELBAF, and then they are reunited with Kid, and we'll see where that goes. Here's another way to spin this, and I just realized this. So there is a very popular theory in the fandom right now that because a lot of Yonko are tied to islands, Kaido was connected to Wano, of course, that Shanks is the one that's connected to ELBAF. So Shanks because Shanks' whole motif, his ship and everything, the Red Force, kind of looks like a Viking longship. It has the figurehead like a dragon that a lot of Viking longships are based off of and all that stuff. So people are thinking maybe Shanks hangs out on ELBAF a lot. Maybe it's not his home, his home base or whatever. Maybe they don't really have a home base, but it's one of the places that he's very much welcome and one of the places he can hang out, all right? Now that leads to a whole other scenario because how Kid lost his arm? Kid lost his arm to Shanks, or maybe a member on Shanks' crew. We don't know that whole story, but he had a run-in with Shanks at one point, and after that encounter, Kid lost an arm. So it would be hilarious if they land on ELBAF and Shanks is currently there and they see each other, and it would really hurt if Shanks doesn't even remember Kid. If he's just like, oh, hey, welcome to ELBAF. Oh, wait, don't I know you? And then Kid's entire face just goes beet red with rage, but he also freaks out a bit because this is the dude. Most likely, Shanks just kind of took out Griffin and just sliced off Kid's arm. I don't think it was much of a fight. I don't really think it was much of anything. I think Kid might have just been bad-talking Shanks or something, just ha ha ha, you can't hope to fight me. You don't even have an arm. And then Shanks is just sitting there drinking. He's like, I don't have an arm, huh? Well, it's not nice because neither do you. You only have one arm. And Kid's like, what are you talking about? I have two. Oh, God. And he just looks up and his arm's just gone. And Shanks is just, and then just continues. You know what I mean? So it would be so hilarious if he lands on ELBAF and one of the first people he encounters, maybe he takes out one of the giants, but then Shanks shows up. What's all the hullabaloo going down here at the shore? And then Kid's like, oh, no. Ah, crap. You know what I mean? Now, at this point, though, Kid has encountered Luffy at Wano, and I think Shanks would know about all that because of the newspaper and everything. So I don't think it would go the same way. I think Shanks would honestly have some questions for Eustass about Luffy and Wano and him being the new emperor and everything like that. Not Kid being the new emperor, of course, but Luffy being the new emperor. And I think that would allow it for them to have a little bit of a dialogue. It wouldn't just be them immediately fighting. For one thing, I think Kid would be aware that he might not be able to take him down. He took down Big Mom with Law's help, but you know what I mean? This is Shanks we're talking about here. And I think Shanks wouldn't immediately cut Eustass in half because he's just like, all right, I have some questions for you. Because, that's just a fan theory, really. We don't really know if Shanks is connected to ELBAF at all, he's going to be there. Maybe he is, maybe he isn't, maybe he doesn't have anything to do with ELBAF. But yeah, that's the case there. Also, I mean, if Kid was there first, we might not see everything he does on ELBAF because he's not the focus of the story, and I highly doubt, all that hyperbole aside and all my expectations and headcanons aside, I highly doubt Oda's going to stop the story to focus on Eustass Kid's crew for any number of chapters. He might get the treatment that Law got, where Law got half of one chapter and then the beginning of another chapter, so one chapter altogether. Kid might get that treatment, but aside from that, it's not really going to be all that focused on. So in that case, it's going to be Kid's there, and then we're going to cut away, and then when the Straw Hats finally arrive, and it's like, oh, yeah, I'm here, these are the Giants, you want to meet Loki? And then Loki shows up because we got to meet him because he connects back to the whole Big Mom plot with Lola and everything, and the king of the Giants is probably Othin, and, you know, he's this really cool old giant with, like, a missing eye and everything. You know, Odin's lore is so interesting because he has so many, like, magical tchotchkes, you know, like, he gave up his eye for wisdom. That's the whole origin of Odin only having one eye, and so he has this, like, multiplying ring. He has this magic, I think Gungnir, which is the name of the technique that Hyrudin used to defeat Machvice, which was just like a punch, but Gungnir, I think, is like the name of Odin's actual spear. So the name of those giant techniques, you know, ELBAF spear or whatever, might actually be derived from an actual spear that Odin uses as the king of giant kind, you know, so there might be something like that. I'm just saying, in Norse mythology, Odin has a lot of magical shit, so it might be cool to see, like, oh, this is the royal giant armory, you know, and it's like, oh, cool, it's like all these magical weapons and everything. It's like Kid entering like a D&D campaign. It's like, all right, you arrive at the Island of Giants, and it's like, oh, okay, and then now you have to fight against Grog. Crap. But yeah, you know, like, I really feel Oda is trying his best to maintain a consistent storyline with Law, Luffy and the Straw Hats, and Kid, because he doesn't want us to forget about them. Oda cannot just go back to the regular format of One Piece, where, you know, the Straw Hats have a crazy adventure, meet some allies, and then those allies are kind of put to the side, maybe in a cover story or something, as the Straw Hats adventure continues. We're entering the final saga now, so I feel like Oda has to juggle all of these storylines side by side, okay? He's still probably going to do the cover pages, and even the cover series are being very relevant right now because they're connecting to things that are happening in the story, like with Vegapunk and Mads and Judge and Caesar and the Germa and all that. So moving forward, I think Oda really has to reshuffle how he does his manga, because it's like, okay, I can't focus on just the Straw Hats for an entire arc. Unabashed, isolated. I have to include other stuff going on. What's happening to Law? What's happening to Kid? What's happening to all the other major points in the world? The Gorosei, Sabo, all that kind of stuff. He has to juggle that in order to make the final saga, like, get the most out of it, like what he wants it to be, okay? And so it's going to be a little tricky, but we'll see how that goes. All right, well, anyway, that's the video. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope that, Kid, I hope he doesn't die. I hope he does something cool in ELBAF. He beats Grog in one-on-one combat. I'm actually really invested in Grog the Giant right now. Just this big giant meathead I invented with the giant beard, because he's a giant. You know, what does Grog look like? Give me a description of Grog, you know, with the giant tree. You know, all right, anyway, that's the video, and now moving on to PORYGON facts. We're going to be covering the final evolution of PORYGON, peak PORYGON, as it were. Okay, so today we're looking at Porygon Z. Porygon Z evolves from Porygon 2 after the dubious disc has been added to him and he's been traded, alright? Now, the idea with Porygon Z is that he is a corrupted Porygon, okay? He's a Porygon that has been afflicted with some malware or spyware or, you know, junkware or whatever you want to call it, okay? He's been hacked, basically, alright? So, I'll be honest with you, I never really played. I mean, I got Shining Pearl, what was it, Shining Diamond and Brilliant Pearl or whatever. I haven't finished it, and I never played those games. Gen 4 I really have the least experience with because I never played them growing up. That's kind of when I stopped playing Pokemon for a little while. But there is a Pokédex entry here. Additional software was installed to make it a better Pokemon. It began acting oddly, however. Okay, so a lot of the Pokédex entries talk about how it acts oddly, but it's not very specific on how it acts. In Platinum, it's a little different, though. Its programming was modified to enable work in alien dimensions. It did not work as planned. What does that mean? Okay, so we've went from the Pokemon that lives in cyberspace and that could maybe function in outer space to now working in alien space. Is Porygon Z capable of ripping holes in dimensions and passing into alternate realities? That seems to kind of be the implication here. And then it did not work as planned, as of like, we made Porygon Z to travel to the Dimension X and then it ends up in Dimension X and things don't go as planned? Like, does it end up becoming like the Lord of Dimension X and taking over the world as like a Cthulhu PORYGON? Yes. Yes, exactly. Its programming was modified to enable it to travel to alien dimensions. Seems there might have been an error. Okay, what happened to Porygon Z in these alien dimensions? How does it get into these alien dimensions? I don't know, but it's pretty scary when you think about it. Yeah, Porygon Z. You gotta make sure to, make sure you install antivirus on your Porygons. That's all I'm saying. All right. Anyway, thanks for watching, everyone. Tekking, signing out. Later.